Hello everyone, it's me, The Vern, and before we begin this latest episode of Cinema Recall, talking about Magnolia with guests Jeanette Miller-Mickenham and Aaron and Kevin from the podcast That Wouldn't Die. As of this recording, I recently saw Licorice Pizza, which is the new film from Paul Thomas Anderson, and I posted my review on Instagram, but I'll be really brief for this one, okay? So, I said for Licorice Pizza that every actor was amazing. Alana Haim from the group Haim made an incredible debut in her first feature. The music, along with the look of the film, was all top-notch. The story and pacing, however, are the film's weak points. You're better off watching Dazed and Confused or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for better hangout movies. And yeah, so like I said, I love the look of it. I love the way that Paul Thomas Anderson really makes you feel like you're in the 70s, and all the actors are amazing. Forgot to mention Cooper Hoffman, who does an amazing job. Cooper Hoffman, as you know, is the son of Phillip Seymour Hoffman, and he's good. The cast is great. I just wanted there to be more of a storyline, and in all hangout movies, they actually have good character development, and I felt like this was missing from that one. Still enjoy it. I give like 3 stars out of 5. I know a lot of people really love this one, call it the best of the year, and it's good, just not the best of the year. But anyways, here's the show. Should let you know that this episode contains some adult language, some movie spoilers, and again, my microphone doesn't sound all that great, but we're going to fix that for sure for our main show, and I hope you all have a great day. Now, on to the show.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, of course.
I'm really nervous that you're going to hate me soon. You're going to find stuff out about me and you're going to hate me.
No, like what? What do you mean?
You have so much. So many good things. And you seem so together. You're a police officer and you seem so straight and put together without any problems.
I lost my gun today.
What?
I lost my gun today when I left you, and I'm the laughingstock of a lot of people. I wanted to tell you. I wanted you to know, and it's on my mind. And it makes me look like a fool. And I feel like a fool. And you asked that we should say things, that we should say what we're thinking and not lie about things. Well, I can tell you that I lost my gun today. I'm not a good cop. I'm looked down at, and I know that, and I'm scared that once you find that out, you might not like me.
Jim, that was
I'm
so
sorry.
great, what you just said.
I haven't been on a date since I was married, and that's 3 years ago. And Claudia, whatever you want to tell me, whatever you think might scare me, won't. And I will listen to you. I'll be a good listener to you if that's what you want. You know, and I won't judge you. I know I can do that sometimes, and I won't. And I can listen. And you shouldn't be scared of scaring me off or whatever you think that I think, and on. You should just say it, whatever it is, and I'll listen to you.
You don't know how fucking stupid I am.
It's okay.
You don't know how crazy I am.
It's okay.
I've got troubles, okay?
I'll take everything at face value. I'll be a good listener to you.
I started this, didn't I? Didn't I? Fuck.
Whatever it is, just say it. You'll see.
You want to kiss me, Jim?
Yes, I do.
Alright, I gotta do a quick little introduction, and then we'll begin our conversation. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Cinema Recall Podcast. This is our PTA Meetings. We are doing a month-long tribute to the films of Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm your host, The Vern, and today I've got 3 special guests with me. This is amazing. First up, she's been a guest before on other episodes, my good friend Jeanette Miller-Mickenham. Hello, Jeanette.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Jeanette. And we have 2 newbies, 2 virgins to my show. And I promise to be gentle, all right? Warm and
Me
nice
too.
and everything. We have with us Aaron and Kevin of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. Hello.
Woo! Hey, thank you very much for having us.
This is so cool. I'm a big fan of your shows. I love all the movies that you review, and I love your different takes on them. Really quickly, just tell the listeners out there everything about your show. I just love the fact that you guys review really cool, awesome, and bad movies sometimes too. It's great. Tell them all about it.
We are the podcast that wouldn't die. We discuss horror and science fiction films with a comedic twist, forgotten gems, sometimes should have remained forgotten, I would say. Goodness gracious. So thank you for having us.
Well, thank you so much for being here. But today, we are not talking about a bad movie, even though I think this movie is definitely polarizing in some people, because we're covering movies from Paul Thomas Anderson, as you know about, and Boogie Nights was the one that kind of put Paul Thomas Anderson on the map.
100%.
A lot of, like, film critics and audiences really seem to, like, vibe with this filmmaker. And I have to say, I always thought of, like, Boogie Nights as being Paul Thomas Anderson's sort of, like, homage to Martin Scorsese films. And I feel like Magnolia is more of his homage to Robert Altman films.
Yes, I can see that now that you mention it. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
And so I can imagine, too, that audiences that first saw Boogie Nights and like the vibe of that when he came up with a new movie, they were going to be like, oh, wow, it's probably going to be the same tone. But to me, Magnolia is sort of like how audiences view Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown compared to, like, Pulp Fiction. I mean, Magnolia is definitely, like, a different beast of a movie. It's still got your big ensemble cast. I have to ask you, first of all here, Kevin, when did you first see Magnolia? And your kind of general thoughts about it. Did you see Boogie Nights before this? Did you see this one first? I mean...
I saw Boogie Nights first. I actually saw Magnolia in the theater.
Oh, you lucky dog.
Yeah, my girlfriend at the time took me to see it. It was actually her second viewing. And I remember sitting there watching it, and there's the big intro with Tom Cruise. I had no idea what it was about.
Sure.
Where he's, like, talking to the guys, and I'm like, what in the hell is it? And she was laughing her ass off. She thought it was hilarious. But then I went back and watched Hard Eight later, which was actually his first movie.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, and I have to say, I watched There Will Be Blood for the first time this week.
Oh.
And well, but it's like an entirely different animal.
Oh,
like very much so. It's very interesting trying to compare the two.
None of his movies are the same. I mean, right. I've been watching this movie kind of in order. I watched like Hard Eight, A.K. Sydney, then Boogie Nights, then Magnolia, and then I just rewatched recently Punch Drunk Love. And those four movies are just completely different from the beast right there. And you're totally right, too. Going to There Will Be Blood, that's a different beast right there in of itself. And I just like the way that his style changes in each movie. Aaron, in like one sentence, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I know you're super intelligent. In one sentence, please describe the audience what this movie is about in one sentence.
Oh my God, it's about desperate people, and there's just this thread that somehow, they're all interlinked in one way, but all I can say is desperate people.
Desperate people.
I think that's fair.
That might have been the alternate title to this movie.
Yeah.
Is Desperate People. I love the way that Paul Thomas Anderson introduces each of the main character in that opening montage.
Oh, you mean the scuba diver in the tree?
Oh,
you mean that part?
That intro that tells you about people connections. That's cool in of itself. That's a great little short film. I didn't recognize Patton Oswalt.
Right.
Oh, you
as
did?
The dealer.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought that was just so cool to see him in that moment right there. But even the beginning opening montage where you introduce, Frank T.J. Mackey, Tom Cruise, and Melora Walters as Claudia Wilson, and you have, Jimmy Gator and the Stanley Spector and all these other characters.
Quiz Kid Donnie Smith,
William H. Macy, just all done in this little montage. I'm thinking if most TV shows could be like this and introduce characters like this, that's amazing. I mean, this movie does really great character introductions than a lot of TV shows do, I think.
You know what was interesting? When you said this movie was very polarizing, I guess I never thought there would be people that didn't like this movie.
Oh, I know a lot of my friends do. Well, I was going to ask you, too, about this because, Jeanette, you just showed this movie to your husband for the first time before we got on this call here. When did you first see Magnolia? And then I want to hear about what your husband thought about this movie.
Okay, well, I first saw Magnolia in the theater, and I was already a fan of Boogie Nights. And I instantly fell in love with Magnolia because I think Paul Thomas Anderson is one of those rare filmmakers who can have such an intricate relationship, this map of relationships that all make sense. Everything was connected the way you would have it connected in real life. They're real people. I mean, I know these people. From being from LA, I know these people, so I connected with many of the characters. So I was like, oh yeah, I felt like I fit right in. That I walked amongst these people.
You had frauds falling from the sky, frauds falling from the sky all the time.
Yeah, I would not doubt that would happen, especially there. That would not surprise me. My husband, on the other hand, he was like, yeah, it's okay, it's good, but he had serious problems with some of the characters. He thought some of them were fake, and he thought some of them were goofy, and it didn't resonate with him.
And then you were forced to file for divorce soon after? Is that how it goes?
Well, what usually happens?
That's fascinating too.
Like this, I put on my psychology major hat, my psychology degree hat, and then I tell him, I explain why the characters are the way they are and their motivations, and kind of explain, why they might act a certain way and why they need to respond or act in a certain way.
Good answer.
And that usually has him go, okay, but it's not a movie he would watch again.
You know what? Go ahead.
Go ahead, man. No, I was saying too. Your reaction is a lot of reactions what other critics had about this movie. Because on YouTube, I'm watching Roger Ebert talk about this movie with other film critics, and some critics put it as their worst of the year in 1999. And they're saying that the whole thing's ridiculous. The stuff with frauds falling from the sky, that's just complete bullshit. It's a Deus Ex Machina type of thing. One lady thought that none of the characters had any real motivations, and she just couldn't get in the story of it. And it's like, I thought all of them had great motivations. They had all great characters.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, but
when I saw it the first time,
here we go.
no, I didn't hate it or anything. I just found it so bizarre.
Sure.
So bizarre. It's so random. It's just like, what in the hell? Now there are frogs. What?
Yeah. Well,
the frogs threw me as well.
I've never seen a narrative that just goes back and forth so quickly between the characters, and you get kind of lost when watching it. Because when I'm watching a movie, I'm used to having a movie that has like one central character for me to follow, and then there's like little side characters throughout it. But Magnolia, there's like 4 or 5 main characters, and we're going back and forth between all of them. Sometimes in like a 5-minute scene, we're getting all these different backstories between these characters, and it's a little confusing to understand it. And a lot of times when I watch this movie, I just gotta let it like wash over me.
Yeah.
I know if like in another director's hands, they would concentrate on just having, 5 minutes for just this character, and then we'd have to do another 10 minutes for this character. But the way that Paul Thomas Anderson and his editor just puts this all together was just brilliant in my mind right there.
Rolling Stone calls Magnolia a near miracle. You are here for me to enlighten you.
Startling, innovative, hugely funny, and powerfully, courageously moving. Newsweek says it towers over most Hollywood films this year. And the National Board of Review calls it one of the 3 best films of the year with the best ensemble cast. From the writer and director of Boogie Nights, Magnolia, rated R.
I do ask you this too, Aaron. Did you have like one character in this that you sort of like gravitated towards when watching this movie?
Well, God, because there's William H. Macy, the whole time you're like going, no, don't do that. Then you have like the daughter that's the drug addict with the cop, and they're both so just like desperate. You kind of want them to be together, but the drugs are there. But I think the most powerful performance of the whole thing was somebody who I don't normally care for, but Tom Cruise when he comes to his father's deathbed, bang!
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing.
You stole the words out of my mouth, Aaron. That is amazing. Yeah.
And that was the person that my husband hated the most. He said he was so fake, it disturbed him to watch Tom Cruise's scenes.
Really?
Well, because he was fake at the beginning.
Yeah.
At the time,
exactly.
That was the big thing. They had all those stupid TV shows and classes on teaching guys how to be an asshole so you can get the girls.
Well, no, I did. I explained it in great depth, and then brought it around to when he actually confronts his father. He's been working on emotionally detaching himself all of these years, and only to become exactly who his father was, a womanizer. He says on his deathbed, I cheated on her all the time. Right. So he becomes his father. He refuses to allow himself to fall in love with a woman because someday she might get cancer and he'll have to watch her die in front of him,
my God.
like his mother died and left him as a young child, and he'll never forgive his dad. So he's built this persona, and then he's confronted on the deathbed, and he can't hold on to his persona anymore and just cracks.
Amazing. Yeah. Best thing Tom Cruise ever did, I think.
I think it's my favorite role of his out of all of them.
I will say this. I've got 2 favorite performances of Tom Cruise. One is this. The other one is in Tropic Thunder.
Oh God! I was gonna say Days of Thunder.
That's good too. I like his work, the eyes wide shut and everything. But my 2 favorite performances, just because the character he plays in this. But I like what he does in Magnolia because at the beginning of the movie, he's got this confidence about him. He's got this swagger. Yes, he's teaching guys to be an asshole. He has like this character about him, and the way that the layers pull away from the character is really great. You made some good points there too, Jeanette, about him building the wall and him just putting this persona out there because he doesn't want to get hurt, and so he just has to build this thing to make sure that he's protected against other people.
And by trying to avoid hurt, he becomes the thing he hates, which is his father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think this character is the closest to his real self. To Tom Cruise.
Oh, really?
I think that's why originally he saw Boogie Nights. He told Paul Thomas Anderson, if you ever have anything, I want to do it. And he almost turned down this particular role. He was a little bit of afraid about doing this one. But I think it was probably because subconsciously it was the closest. Because if you watch interviews with him, especially with regards to Scientology or different things, he is a control freak.
Mm-hmm.
And he has an image to present, and that he is the one in charge. And he will let people know he is in charge. And so I think for me, looking back at this and watching all these other interviews with him over the years, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He was himself. But maybe he didn't know it.
You know what's interesting is he ad-libbed that scene.
Oh,
really?
Boom.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes. The words he says to Jason Robards are all improvised.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh. I love that even more then.
Yeah, he had a troubled relationship with his father as well.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Gosh.
We're getting deep here.
Okay. So, Kevin, do you have like a character in this movie that you really reach out to? Because I didn't mention this before the recording, but I do know that this movie is filled with a bunch of great actors and great characters. Do you have like one that sort of like sticks out for you?
You know, I want to say Tom Cruise as well.
Okay.
But I mean, Phillip Seymour Hoffman is so good in this as well.
Oh God, yes.
I mean, he is dynamite. I mean, you feel like, I mean, he's like a caregiver, so he's got that warm kind of feeling as well. But I read somewhere that his reaction to Tom Cruise's scene, like they put the camera on him too, you know, because his reactions were so powerful.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he was amazing.
And
go ahead.
The great thing too about Phillip Seymour Hoffman is that character could have been played by anyone. It could seem like if you just like kind of read the script for it. But Phillip Seymour Hoffman just adds so much layer and depth, even without saying a word. And I found that to be absolutely powerful in his performance in this. The way that he takes the fake cigarette from Earl Partridge's hands,
Right.
and the way that he reacts to him, I found his character to be really good. Okay, so we got kind of 2 for Tom Cruise and 1 slightly for Phillip Seymour Hoffman. Jeanette, did you have a favorite character?
Everybody is so good, and I usually really love Julianne Moore, but I think if looking at this whole film, I really resonated on such a different level with Melora Walters with Claudia.
I'm giddy. Go ahead. That's my choice. Go ahead. That's amazing.
I really, really love her, and at the time I saw this film, I was like, has he been following, minus the cocaine, has he been following me around? Like, what the heck, you know? I just was like, how did he see inside my brain? Like, I really connected with her on so many areas, minus the drug use, but and I just felt like she really embodied everything that her character was in such a vulnerable way that when she's on the couch and she's waiting for Jim, when she's waiting for him to pick her up, and then she's like, you're so stupid, and then she snorts, and I'm like, oh my God, and then there's the Amy Mann's song comes on, and she starts the singing montage. I was just like, crying. Like,
I love the growth.
This really got to me.
I agree to that. I love the growth of her character because when you first meet her, she's this drug addict, has like random sets, and then her dad comes and he tells her that, you know, he has cancer, and she's like yelling at him to get the fuck out, get away from me. And when I first watched the movie, I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? Why? And at first I'm thinking, well, she's just high as hell, and she's just reacting to this person who I wasn't quite sure it was her father or like a relative. I wasn't quite sure their connection.
Right.
And when Officer Jim, played by John C. Reilly, comes to visit her for the first time, I love that sequence because the music's playing loud and she's super high trying to get things all cleaned up. He takes one look at her and is just like, oh, I'm in love. Has no idea that this girl's like coached out of her mind.
Yeah, some detective.
Yeah.
He's an officer. She's obviously high.
Yeah.
Every time they're together, and he's just oblivious.
Yeah.
I love you.
He needs someone to take care of, and she is clearly someone that needs to be wrapped up in a blanket and taken away and taken care of. Because he's a cop because he wants to be a rescuer.
Yep.
And she is the perfect person to be rescued.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I think that's all he saw.
Yeah, and I think that's, great. I know that he says that, he'll be a good listener and he'll listen to all our problems, and I'm sure that he will, and he'll understand about her drug use. And I have a feeling that she wants to get clean, she wants to help, and that moment at the end when she smiles for the first time breaks my heart every time I see it. And
so full of hope.
I wrote an article for a website called That Moment In a while back, talking about that moment when she does smile for the first time, because this lady, as we learned through the movie, has gone through like years of abuse and
trauma.
Not just with her family members, but with other men too, and just have these people use and abuse her. And now, for the first time in her life, she has a reason to smile. I mean, here's a guy that is not going to take advantage of her and likes her, even through all her quirks and everything too. And I have a feeling that he'll understand her a little bit more. And I've had friends in the past who have dealt with drug addiction and being there for them, and just very powerful stuff right there. I think Melora Walters just does a fantastic, amazing job in this, and I just can't say enough high praise about her. Totally agree that it's a little bit odd that, and that's what my friends too said. They're like, come on now, he should have known right away that this girl is high on drugs, and maybe
she lives in a crack den. I mean, it's
come
on. But he's as damaged as she is.
That's true.
He loses his gun. No one respects him. He's living, it looks like a monastery, and it feels like everything he says is whatever his ex-wife yelled at him. I'm a good listener, which is probably his ex-wife was, you never listen to me.
Yes.
it just feels like he's just as traumatized as she is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and he's not the sharpest officer. I mean,
no.
The exchange he has with the black woman with the dead guy in her closet.
Right.
That cracks me up every time I see it, because he's just like, yes, technically that is the answer to my question, but what I'm asking you is, and
he's a square.
He totally is. Everything flies over his head, and then we have the little kid who tells him raps the rap, and I'm like, that kid could speak slowly and with that rap to me, and I still wouldn't get the clues that I have never been able to decipher the clues of who the killer was, but if anybody knows.
I looked it up.
Yeah, okay. Tell us what it is too, Kevin, because I did watch with subtitles at one time just to understand the rap. But we have theories about this. But go ahead, man. What do you think you're seeing in that?
Kevin a beat.
Yeah, I'll rap the answer. No, evidently, evidently the woman, like her ex-husband or current soon-to-be ex-husband, was very abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd been away for a while and had come back and was smacking her around. And the older son finally murdered him. And the older son's nickname was the Worm. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's actually the younger son is the one who's rapping the answer to the riddle. So he's the Worm is the one who's running away down the street that John C. Reilly is chasing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not some elaborate. When he loses the gun.
Yeah.
Right.
That poor guy losing his gun. Jeez.
And I figured too, I always have a feeling too that this could have been like a television series, like a failed pilot to a television series, just kind of like Mulholland Drive.
Right.
Was a TV series. It was going to be a TV series,
Lynch.
But then it turned into a movie instead. And when you have the whole murder mystery happening with the whole thing with the worm, I'm thinking, well, if this was a TV show, that element would have been put out a little bit longer. The whole
thing ended up on the cutting room floor. I mean, they kind of decided it wasn't that important, so they kept what they needed and got rid of the rest. So it's never resolved.
I was just, the whole thing about it just felt like a different scene. I liked Dixon. I kind of wish we had a little bit more of him. There's a sequence when they're watching the game show of What Do Kids Know, and I think it's the worm that grabs them. What do we think?
Yes.
Let's get into that game show a little bit here.
I mean, I watched Jeopardy, but that has got to be the most difficult game show the world has ever known. I mean,
I auditioned for College Jeopardy during one spring break, and no one could answer the question, so they started giving us all the children's questions. And it was still too hard, because for me it was too much Punky Brewster pop culture versus, like, I was expecting more in the War of 1812, blah, blah, blah. Instead it was like, who's Punky Brewster's best friend? I was like, what?
Well, and it also doesn't seem like a fair challenge. I mean, here are 3 grade school kids versus 3, like, college professors. Unless you get Stanley in there, who's like a rocket scientist, I don't know how the kids have a chance.
Yeah, it was just.
It's are you smarter than a fifth grader?
I think honestly it was just the 3 adults versus Stanley. That was it, because he's the only one that's answered all the questions. The other 2 was doing shit.
Right. The other 2 are putting pressure on him. Oh, yeah.
But I thought the actor Jerry Blackman did a phenomenal job holding his own against the actors, especially his dad, played by Michael Bowen, who I've known from like a lot of like Tarantino features and whatnot.
Valley Girl?
Yep, Valley Girl, yep. Did just a phenomenal job in having... I think this is probably Paul Thomas Anderson's kind of first introduction to working with like younger actors, because I know his latest movie in Licorice Pizza, he's working with a whole new like cast of newcomers, and I think that's what it is for that movie. I don't think there's that.
I didn't know that was Paul Thomas Anderson, because I was going to ignore it. Now I'm going to have to go see it.
Really? Oh yeah, no, yes. Whole new cast. It probably is like maybe 1 or 2 like professional actors, but the rest of it is all like a whole new cast. It reminds me a little bit of like Dazed and Confused.
Right.
I'm totally
it's
wrong.
Kind of a 70s flashback kind of thing.
It's just for the whole 70s look right there. He's definitely going back to that vibe, and I think that's gonna be cool as hell. Okay, folks.
It's Phillip Seymour Hoffman's son is the lead in the movie. By
really?
The way. Yes.
Oh shit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
This is what I do. I bring the facts.
I like that very much, Kevin.
You're a teacher, but apparently you're just Googling shit all day.
That's all I do. Go read silently.
Gosh. So I want to ask people, I want to get into people's favorite moments of this movie, but I really quickly just want to talk about the score and the songs of this movie.
Oh my god.
John Bryan did the score for this movie, and it's very beautiful. I had no idea, because when I rewatched Hard 8, because Michael Penn did the music for Boogie Nights, and John Bryan did the score for Magnolia, but they both worked together on Hard 8. And the 3 of them did a song with Amy Mann for the end credits of Hard 8. And it's a Christmas song that they do. So I find it kind of fascinating that for Magnolia, you have John Bryan doing the score and Amy Mann doing all the songs. And I remember buying the soundtrack for this and just
me too.
But here's the thing too, Aaron. I had no idea that Amy Mann was the lead singer until Tuesday. Until this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that song. I knew who Till Tuesday was, but I had no idea that it was Amy Mann until I saw this movie.
Yeah.
You're blowing
Oh,
my
wow.
mind, man.
And I was a big fan of that song too, and I just had no idea that those 2 were connected in any ways. And when I rewatched Boogie Nights, they played Till Tuesday's song, Voices Carry, at the very end of that movie. And so I thought it was like so cool that Paul Thomas Anderson brought her back in to do the songs for this.
Now she's married to Michael Penn.
Yes. Yeah, so that it would make sense too why those 3 worked together for Hard 8 and why she got involved with this project here. But any like favorite songs from the soundtrack? Go with you, Aaron.
The one about
Wise Up?
The tourniquet song.
Oh,
I was
save,
gonna
save
sing
me.
it. You look like
That's
a
Save Me.
perfect fit.
Okay.
That one. I don't know
Yeah.
the name of it.
Save me.
Save me!
Yes.
Oh my God, it's haunting. It's haunting.
It is
Also called the
haunting.
Tourniquet Song.
We're gonna call it the Tourniquet Song.
I don't think this film would have worked with a different vocalist. I think her voice and the music being so haunting and melancholy really lent to the whole entire story and everyone's story, because we are seeing over a 24-hour period, we're seeing people at, potentially their most vulnerable or their most
Desperate.
desperate state of mind. I mean, even Stanley's father, like down to, and even things that we don't know, like Felicity Huffman's character as a PA. Why doesn't she let Stanley go to the bathroom when there's time? And then when what's his name asks her what's going on, and she's like, I don't know. When she does know that he peed his pants, like, so what's going on in her? What desperate time is going on in her life? Like, there's so many things that Paul Thomas Anderson captures in those non-dialogue moments too. And so when you have this score and you have Amy Mann's vocals, and her voice is so soothing at times and yet piercing for me, just piercing, like calling me out. Like, I'm talking to you through these lyrics, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. It wouldn't have worked. And even with Fiona Apple, behind the scenes doing the artwork and, it wouldn't have worked with her.
Yeah.
As the vocalist, and she's awesome. I love her, but
You can't even imagine it be anyone else.
No. It's perfection.
That is fair.
I agree.
But I do love Paul Thomas Anderson's videos he directed of Fiona Apple. I thought that was
absolutely
really cool.
Yeah.
I loved your cover of Across the Universe and that video that he directed. I thought that was absolutely really kind of cool as well. Kevin, any quick thoughts on the soundtrack, the score?
No, it was dynamite. It definitely set the tone for the whole. I mean, it leads right in with "One Is the Loneliest Number."
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, that sets the stage for the entire movie. Frankly.
Yeah.
Just even those beginning notes, because after we have the whole introduction about was it like Greenberry Hill, the guy got mugged, and then the scuba diver, then the kid who got shot by his own mother while trying to commit suicide, the whole thing. And you hear about those connections, and you hear those little notes there that just sets up the whole thing. That whole brilliant montage that they do at the beginning that introduces all the characters. I swear, that whole introduction with Amy Mann's one, the editing, the camera movements of everything, I could just watch that over and over again and not get bored. All right. We are going to get into our favorite moments of this movie. Now, I do want to say this thing. This movie's over 3 hours long, but I never felt the length watching it. I rewatched this last night, late at night, and I thought, well, I'm going to watch half of it now, and then I'm going to fall asleep, and then watch the rest of it later. But I finished it all in one night. This is like,
of course!
This is the rare movie that never seems long when I watch it. And I don't know why that is, because most movies that are 3 hours long, there are some like Marvel movies where I can feel it dragged a little bit.
Right.
But never this movie. And tell me why that is. Why does that happen? Aaron, help me out here. What am I...
I'll tell you right now, because I watched Dune, which was like 12 hours long.
Yes.
And the difference between this and Dune is you're invested with every single one of these characters. There's no wasted moments. It's just bang, bang. I mean, there's no... It was edited perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And there was no car chases to drive me crazy.
I'm gonna agree with Aaron, and I'm gonna say that the way he edited it has everything to do with that, because when you it kind of bugged my husband because he needed longer time with each person.
Sure.
And I didn't. I was okay jumping around. It's like we get one scene and then we get to another character and their scene. Whereas when Quentin Tarantino does films with these character backgrounds, Pulp Fiction, whatever, you get like time with each person before moving on. I mean, his sequences with each character could be over multiple scenes or multiple locations, where here you get that scene, that dialogue, and then you're moving on to someone else, and then you're going to come back.
I think it adds to the anxiety of it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're starting to feel the way the characters are feeling. You're like,
Yeah, right, exactly. So I think that's why it doesn't feel like 3 hours.
Well, shout out.
It never feels like 3 hours to me.
I agree, totally agree. Shout out to editor Dylan Titchener, who also helped edit Boyton Nates as well, and Punch Drunk Love. So good job with him. He's amazing with that. All right, folks. Now I want to hear, what are your favorite moments in this movie? This 3 hour long movie. Do you have like one moment that really stands out that we really love? Kevin, we haven't heard from you in a while. What do you have for us, bud? What is your favorite moment in this movie?
There is that amazing moment where Melora Walters has got the music cranked up and blasting up through, and Jim is pounding on the door. Come on. Well, she's like desperately throwing like cocaine everywhere. It's like, that was done. And one moment in that was when he says, well, he basically asks, can I have a cup of that coffee? I see there's coffee sitting there. And she's like, it's been there for a few weeks. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, delicious. And then when she leaves the room, he like pitches it into her sink.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the use of classical music in that sequence. That was just absolutely brilliant. And because he wasn't trying to impress her too. He's like, he doesn't want to be rude. He's the nice guy. He doesn't want to be rude and throw her coffee up at her. That would just be a rude thing. So he's a nice guy.
Yes. Throwing coffee at her would be rude.
Exactly. Aaron, what do you have for your favorite moment?
We're not giving William H. Macy any love, so
okay, do it.
Let me talk about him. His character reminds me, was it that movie? Is it A Simple Twist of Fate? What's that Coen brother movies where they cross that line, and as soon as they cross that line, it's all just going to be Simple Plan. Simple Plan.
Okay.
It was never so to me. His whole life after chasing his fame on the game show is just one move where everyone could see that this is a bad idea, and he just keeps making making those mistakes. And then he tries to go back. He finally sees the light. He tries to go back and fix things, and it's like, and isn't that when the frogs appear?
Yep. He
gets
a toad
Jesus.
right in the head.
It was like a biblical thing. It's like the plague of Egypt. Bam!
Well, he was trying to get braces to impress a bartender because he saw the bartender has braces, so he thinks, hey, if I get braces, this bartender's going to like me, and I'm going to be loved, because he's a guy who just had no love, and I'm sure that his dad was probably a lot like the dad that the new kid has.
Absolutely.
Very abusive.
I'm worthy of love. So if I just get braces, he has a lot of love to give. That's right.
I love that. Thank you, Jeanette, for bringing that up. He's got that great line. I got a lot of love to give. I just don't know where to put it.
Yeah. Oh.
No. Brilliant.
Heartbreaking.
I love that.
And then at the end, he finally does smash his face, so he will need oral surgery.
Yes. Good thing you made the down payment.
It all works out. Jeanette, what do you have for your favorite moment in this, sir?
I have such a hard time choosing a favorite moment because I feel like there's so many strong moments.
Well, while you're thinking, I'll tell you mine real quickly, okay? If that's cool.
Okay, give me more time.
So my favorite moment is when Julianne Moore goes to the drugstore and the pharmacist is like, well, you gotta be careful with this stuff here. You careful to say, you motherfuckers, I come in here, you say these words, you take your phone calls, don't you lady at me. suck my dick. I'm like, oh.
Oh my God.
He was being unprofessional. He was being unprofessional.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you anyway?
He really was being unprofessional. And I was thinking about that scene.
Yeah.
I was like, damn,
Julianne Moore. I was
Moore.
thinking that.
Oh, just so brash and bold and powerful. And, of course, I like the date that Officer Jim and Claudia Wills has. And she's that great line, like, I was to, like, get through the bullshit, the piss and shit that, you know, people say, and can we just be honest with each other? And he's like, piss and shit. You use a lot of strong words. And she's like, I'm sorry. No, it's okay. You know, because he's just not used to that sort of thing, but he definitely wants to hear from her, and she's being honest with him. And I like the moment when he tells her that he lost his gun, and she tells him that she's afraid that he's gonna find something out about her that he's not he's not gonna like, and she's afraid that he's gonna run away. And that great moment where they have a conversation is like, "Do you want to kiss me?" Yes. And then they kiss, and it's just, bam.
Well, then she bails. She's like, "Now that I've done this, I'm out."
Yeah. Now, would you attempt to never see me again? And she's like, "Just let me go." And when she goes, that's when the frogs start appearing.
The frogs kind of stop all the insanity. It kind of stops Julianne Moore from dying.
Yes.
William H. Macy. It's kind of like God is intervening.
It's like cleanliness.
It is referenced. In the game show, the guy gets his eye taken away, and it's Exodus 8:2, chapter 8, verse 2. If you refuse to let them go, I will send a plague of frogs across your entire land.
Oh,
let my people go.
It is referenced about the frogs. So
8:2 happens over and over again in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. It pops. He warns us before he drops the frogs. Like, he foreshadows. But I think that the end of the date is a really good moment because I resonated with Claudia saying, you know, how do you feel about us not seeing each other again? Because I think she starts to see she can't maintain good behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Can't see my air quotes on this recording. She's not going to be able to maintain. He's going to find out she's a fraud. He's going to find out all the bad things that she considers herself unworthy for. And even though she wants desperately to have an honest connection with him, she knows he's going to find out and he's going to be gone. And so she's going to cut it off before it even gets there, but she's going to experience what a true kiss would feel like. So I really liked that vulnerable moment. And I go back to Philip. There's like a few little tiny moments of Phillip Seymour Hoffman's reaction to Tom Mackey breaking down, but then also Tom Cruise at that, when he's like, I'm not going to cry, as the tear drops, because he's holding on so tight. And then he just has this complete breakdown. And then there's that moment where Jason Robards is taking his last breaths. And I want to think, my brain wants to think, that he's saying that he is aware that Frank is there, or Jack is there, and he's trying to say, I'm sorry, but it doesn't come out because there's just puffs of air. Mm-hmm. And Tom Cruise is like hanging on with everything he has. And I think his brain is hoping that that's what his dad is saying to him. I'm sorry, or I love you, or something deep. And then you've got Phillip Seymour Hoffman, and he's just like crying. So I feel like those moments, those really intense, like you don't have anything left.
Yeah.
Those are like my favorite moments.
Because Frank had to
This
go through the
movie.
death of both of his parents, and that's got to be, very tough. But I think after this happens with Earl, he's a different person because Julianne Moore's character is in an accident. He gets the call, and he goes visit her at the hospital. And both those characters hated each other very much. Well, it's definitely her hated him more. And I have a feeling that at the end, they'll have a way of connecting through their grief. And they'll be able to sort of like mend each other's wounds little bit.
Well, you go back to the song Save Me. Really, everybody gets saved with the exception of the molesty game show dad.
Well,
I just feel...
He was going to kill himself, but that frog just stopped the bullets.
Oh, you're right. Well, he still sucks. Hopefully life's still terrible for him.
True.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't get saved.
He doesn't get saved, but I guess
too.
He doesn't die, though.
I mean, because while Jim is in the car, he asked that question, like, what do we forgive? Can we forgive? He's done something horrible, but will he able to be forgiven for his sins? We don't know for sure, and I like the fact that it leaves it kind of vague. I do know that Claudia has... I'm hoping that if there was a sequel, he gets put on trial, and that Officer Jim helps, and convicted him.
I would not watch it.
No, that...
No, terrible.
Of course it's a terrible idea.
I mean, God forgives. It's not for us to forgive, so... Story.
Boom! He can't be forgiven until he acknowledges.
Yeah, I'm not saying he should be.
He does, because he doesn't admit it. He goes, I don't know if I did. I don't know if I did.
He knew enough to get a gun out of the drawer, though.
Oh yeah.
He knows.
Yep.
He knows, but he doesn't want to say the words.
Right.
Hey.
And Mom knows too. Come on.
Mom knows too, and I think she feels a bit complicit, and then she runs to Claudia to be with her.
Better late than never, because that's what Claudia needed, her mother's support for sure.
Kudos again to Philip Baker Hall. It's so weird watching him in Hard 8, where he plays like this gangster, to Brooklyn 8, where he plays like the sleazy porn producer, to now Magnolia, where he plays a molesting game show host. It just, the range of this guy, just really cool. And I watched like the behind the scenes documentary, and he's like, God damn it, I gotta make a kids movie. All my kids know me from is just these movies here. I gotta do something more for them. So
he's gonna be on Sesame Street,
exactly.
And he and Elmo will have a lesson on the letter C or something.
Well, I've got nothing else really to say about Magnolia, so I just want to kind of go around the table here and get people's final thoughts about Magnolia, and then a score. I'll start with you, Kevin. Give us your final thoughts and a rating of Magnolia.
Let me ask my brother something. Kevin,
yes.
You mentioned that you usually watch half a movie, fall asleep, watch half a movie. That's what my brother does constantly. And?
Yeah, I'm basically a narcoleptic. It was over 3 nights I was watching this. Sad situation. Like I said, when I first saw it, I found it so bizarre and random that it was hard for me to kind of get into it. But I'll tell you what, very quickly, second viewing, third viewing, I really began to appreciate it.
Sure.
What would my rating be? I'd give it a B+.
Okay.
I know exactly.
Wow.
It's on my top 10 of all movies.
I still find it very bizarre and random, but I appreciate the performances much more than I did. I remember watching it the first time, there were so many parallels that I thought I was like in a time travel movie. Because if you have Stanley and Quiz Kid Donnie Smith, I didn't know if like he was the adult version. And frankly, Philip Baker Hall, his character is very similar to Jason Robards. So I wasn't sure if there was a connection there as well.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because
it's
been a long time since this first came out.
Yes.
Okay, Aaron, I know it's on your top 10 of all time, but give us some quick thoughts. Why should people watch Magnolia if they've never seen it before? And then give us your rating.
It's just amazing storytelling. It's just perfect, I think. I think it's just perfect between the acting, the story. You don't know. I like things where I don't know what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to suss this out. This is not like M. Night Shyamalan, and within 5 minutes I'm like, God damn it, it's the trees killing everybody. So it's an original story. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this movie.
Yeah.
I just think it's perfect.
You'll never be able to.
Soundtrack and everything else.
I agree, and you'll never be able to predict the ending of this movie. Never.
No.
Brilliant.
Why is it called Magnolia, by the way? Does anybody know the answer to that?
I googled that.
Magnolia. There's a few. One of the ones that sticks in my head is that the bark of the magnolia tree can be used for medicinal purposes to cure cancer.
Oh, really?
Oh.
And I think there's some other. Has something to do with beginning again.
I just thought it had to do with the petals.
Street that was filmed on. The street that it was filmed on. Prominent street. And then there's also something about beginnings. I forget what that part is, but there's multi-reasons.
I'm looking at the picture of Magnolia on the bar chart here, and it has like all these different petals, and then there's this like little thing in the center, this nucleus type of thing, and you have all the different characters and their stories and how they all sort of like connect with each other, and you got like this man is at the center of it, and I figured that kind of connects them. I'm going way out here. I'm an explanation here. I'm pulling shit out of my ass here, folks. Okay, so just do not listen to me.
Well, I'm wondering. Okay, so IMDb in the trivia section says the title Magnolia not only refers to Magnolia Boulevard in Los Angeles, but it's also similar to the term Charles Fort, who is referenced many places in the movie, coined for a hypothetical region where things that fall from the sky come from Magnolia.
Oh. Okay.
So I don't know.
I don't even know what that means.
But
I don't either.
I love it. So
guessing it's a magical place.
Tree in my front yard. Maybe it's all this, and the circle is complete.
So, Aaron, what would you give this score out of here?
No, this is a 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
A plus. What are you gonna change? What are you gonna do different?
True.
Perfect.
Yeah, I hope in many years this never gets remade, because I cannot see any other cast members in this. No,
I can't imagine how they would
begin to do that.
No, even if they said we're not turning this into a TV series, I'm like, no, what are you doing? No. Jeanette,
okay,
tell us your final thoughts and rate this movie for us.
I love this movie. I love this film. I love that it has so many. It's such a huge cast, and yet everyone is accounted for. Everyone is fully recognized, fully. Every character is fully committed by the actor. They're all fully realized characters. I don't need a lot of exposition to know anything. I know who these people are right from the get-go. And so I feel like that makes it the thing for me that keeps it from being totally perfect is in a few of the scenes where, like especially the very end scene with Melora as we're watching her listening, Claudia's listening to Jim. I wanted to be able to hear a little bit more of what he was saying, but it was drowned out by the soundtrack, the music, the end credit music, or the song. And so there were a couple of moments where, not like when he comes to our house, we know the music's blaring and they're yelling over it, but then there's these intimate moments like that scene where I really wanted to hear a little bit more of the sweet, soft dialogue that he was, the reassuring dialogue, the comforting words that he was engulfing her in to make her feel safe and that he was going to be okay for her. I wanted to be able to hear that a little bit more. So I think for me, if it would have been perfect and if it would have the music started off, and as we heard those last few lines from Jim, then the music takes over and he gets drowned out. So otherwise, I would say 4 3/4 out of 5.
I agree with what you said there too, Jeanette, because I thought the filmmakers should have stuck towards either A, having us hear him, or just imply that we hear him. Because they could have done the same thing that they did with like Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson in Lost in Translation.
Oh my God, another classic, another 5 out of 5.
Where you don't hear the words, but you understand. And when I saw this for the first time on VHS, I had no idea what he was saying. I just knew that they were comforting words and that she hears them, and then the score kicks in for Save Me More, and it's just a brilliant way to end it. When I watched it again, I put on the subtitles and I was able to hear what he says. I don't think you really need to understand the words to have the scene convey that.
You don't.
You know, she's feeling happiness for the first time. But I do agree that it would have added a little bit more. Either turn down the music or turn it up. Just pick a vibe to this. Totally agree with that. Magnolia is my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie of all his movies. It's number 1 on my list. It's the movie that I rewatch every year or so. I find this movie to be amazing. I think, definitely my number 1. My number 2 probably has to be like maybe Punch Drunk Love, Boogie Nights. I love all his movies. So even if I have a movie like low on the list, like right now, Inherent Vice is the lowest one on my list.
Yeah.
It's the one I should watch again. I just was not into it the first time I watched it. I gotta give that one another chance. But I think all his movies are brilliant, but there's just something about all the actors in this movie. I love the way it's edited. I love the camera shots. I love the music. I love the songs. It's just... And what's brilliant about this movie is that it's over 3 hours long, and every time I watch it, I never feel the length. Ever.
I had no idea it was 3 hours long until this podcast you told me that.
Yeah.
I've watched it so many times, I've never noticed that it was that long. That's quite surprising.
And you were talking about Dune. I watched Dune, which is like less hours than this, and yet Dune just took a while. I was checking my clock, looking at my phone.
Oh.
I unloaded the dishwasher.
Did you unload the dishwasher?
No, I didn't unload. But I was shifting around, and I was clicking on the social media, and I was texting you the words BORING.
You're a heathen.
I saw Dune in the theater. One last thing about Magnolia is the use of the single shots. Especially in the studio, when he's following everybody around, leading up to the game show.
Sure.
I thought that was really timed perfectly, how he did that.
Oh, yeah. As Kevin would say, it's dynamite.
Too many things.
So many things to love about this film.
I know.
Oh, well, I want to say thank you all for being here with us. Now this is the time of the show where you just kind of like plug our upcoming episodes coming up for the podcast that wouldn't die. Now, keep in mind, folks, that this is going to be appearing on our Patreon page first, and then later moved on to our main feed over in January. So I want you to go into the future of next year and tell what's going to be happening for the podcast that wouldn't die. Do you have upcoming episodes that you're going to be talking about in the year 2022?
We still need to record Last Night in Soho.
Oh, yes. Nice.
We're going to review Last Night in Soho. There's a bunch of movies I'd like to do. I'd like to do Planet of the Apes. We haven't done that. The original.
Oh, my gosh.
Need to do that.
I'm a huge fan of that one.
I think we're gonna hit some more Brian De Palma, maybe Body Double, perhaps.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Good stuff. Aaron's got some. What were some movies you were thinking about, Aaron?
Now I'm on the spot, so now I can't think of even the name of a single horror movie. We just recorded Carrie. It's not out yet. That's one of my faves.
Oh gosh,
That's a good
I cannot wait for Carrie and Body Double. Over at Cinema Recall, we did like a whole month-long tribute to Brian De Palma film. Jeanette was on our episode talking about Dress to Kill, and
Love Dress to Kill.
That was a lot of fun. I'm excited because I am going to be watching his movie Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage, and I've only seen that movie once.
Kevin loves the Cage.
Oh.
You can't go. Do you see that Nicolas Cage has a movie coming out where he plays himself?
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta see it.
That looks badass. Badass as hell. Tell listeners where we can find the podcast that wouldn't die.
You can find the Podcast That Wouldn't Die on Facebook at the Podcast That Wouldn't Die, on Twitter at TPodcast, Aaron, we're on Instagram.
We're on Instagram. We're the Podcast That Wouldn't Die.
With a lot of underscores mixed in there. You can also listen to us. You can listen to us anywhere the finer podcasts are available: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, etc., etc.
And I'd like to say that we're like a book club. So I'm going to tell you exactly what happens at the end. So make sure you watch the movie and then listen to us.
Yes.
And then tell me how you agree with me over Kevin.
Oh,
exactly. We don't deliberately pick lousy movies. It just sometimes happens that way.
That's the brilliant about the show too. I love it when you guys review other bad movies too. That's just absolutely great. Oh.
And by bad movies, we mean Kevin's most favorite movies of the 80s.
Oh,
they are classics. What I call classics. Good Lord.
Oh, it's brilliant there. Jeanette, tell us.
You know, I have something really cool happening in the spring. I just got the rights to produce and star in a community theater production of a show called Always, Patsy Cline. I have a huge theater background, and the pandemic shut me down for a couple of years, and so we're coming out, and I just got the rights to do the show, and I'm going to be playing Patsy Cline.
Yay!
Oh, nice.
I'm very, very excited about it, and it's gonna be super fun. Yeah.
Are you crazy about it?
I'm so crazy. I'm walking after midnight on a regular.
Oh.
Who doesn't love Patsy Cline? That's awesome.
Right, and it's a great show. There's only 2 people in the cast, and then there's 6 people in the for the band, and so it's really just going to be super fun, and I think it's a perfect introduction for my community to get back into seeing live theater and have some fun with Patsy Cline. My dad's super excited.
Oh,
very cool.
Awesome.
I'm dedicating the show to him, so
that is
it's gonna
awesome.
be fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Again, thank you everyone. As for Cinema Recall, right now, if you're hearing this on your main feed, we are in the year 2022. I have a new co-host right now. Her name is Ashley, and I've got another potential co-host who is Donnie Roberts, formerly of Cage's Kiss and Videorama Pod, and we're gonna have new episodes coming out. We're kind of doing Cinema Recall podcast just twice a month type of deals, and we are gonna have just us 3 on there, or us 2, and later on we'll bring in some guests. I'm also gonna be working on a special audio adaptation of Clue later on this year.
I just watched that. Dynamite.
So I'm very excited.
I'm super excited.
We got cast members picked out for that, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and so you'll be hearing that hopefully later on through the year here. But as always, please check out our past episodes at cinemarecall.net. Go and find our bonus episodes over our Patreon page, patreon.com/CinemaRecallPod. And what I do on every episode is like to give a shout out to all of our wonderful Patreon supporters and subscribers. So in no special order, I want to thank Jason Soto from Rabbit Hole Podcast. Thank you very much. I want to thank Matt and Ashley from Mashley at the Movies. I want to thank Donnie Roberts, like I said before, of Videorama Pod. Also, he does voice work for Forza Crowd. I want to thank Linda Castro, who also does voice work for Forza Crowd Podcast. I want to thank Chris Revel of Let's Chat with Chris Revel. Thank you very much. My friend Boomer over on Twitter at @ShempIsBack. Thank you very much for your support, Boomer. And last but not least, one of our guests here tonight, Miss Jeanette Miller Makenham. Thank you so much for your love and support. Really appreciate that.
You.
Thank you all to everyone who listens to these episodes in my Rant and Ravens. I realize if I have wonderful, beautiful, attractive, intelligent guests, then I can do a podcast. And that's all I really need to do, just book people who are smarter and sexier looking than you, and then you'll have a great entertaining podcast show. So again, thank you all for checking out Cinema Recall Podcast, and we'll be back soon for another episode with PTA Meetings. Good night, everyone.